It's March 25th and I am staying at the Catalina State Park. It's by Tucson, Arizona, and there's like 3 little trails here, each about a mile long, that I'm going to take you on. This first one is simply called the Nature Trail. And this is the first place in Arizona that I have been experiencing bugs. There's flies here and large mosquito-looking things. Anyway, it's still fun. It is a very popular park. There are lots of people here. Wow. I was very blessed to get a drive-up camping spot. It cost me $25 to stay here. And this park has over 5,000 saguaros in it. So it's pretty cool. Cacti are able to expand and store water in their stems for use during drier times. Cactus spines are modified leaves that discourage animals from eating the plant and shade it from the sun. Having spines rather than leaves reduces the amount of plant surface exposed to the sun. Cacti also have a thick, waxy covering that seals them against moisture loss. Annual plants produce huge quantities of seed. Some seeds will sprout with the next season's rain, others will lie dormant for years. Some plants, such as the jojoba and prickly pear cactus, exhibit a unique adaptation. Most of the leaves or pads grow vertically with the thinnest edge facing the sun. This reduces the amount of surface exposed to the sun at the hottest part of the day. Perennial plants, those that live and grow for many years, have either broad, shallow root systems, which enable them to collect even the slightest rainfall, or long tap roots that allow them to reach water deep underground. Often there are more roots below the surface than there is plant above the ground. Shedding leaves during the dry season conserves water. Plants that retain their leaves year-round have an oily or waxy covering on the leaves to help them retain water. This is the nicest campground I've stayed in yet for their washrooms. I just have to show them to you. Oh, it's great. First off, there's a really nice spot to wash your dishes. Now, isn't this skookum? Like, that's amazing. This is a state park washroom. There's certainly longer trails you can go on in this park, but I can't do it this time. Maybe I'll have to come back. But at least 3 miles I'll get in. That's pretty good. But I have my next campsites booked for quite a few days now, so I'm really got to stay with a schedule. I'm learning that's the best way to do things around here, is to book in advance. Makes me feel more secure knowing I'll actually get a campsite. The saguaro is home for many animals. Guia woodpeckers and gilded flickers excavate holes in the saguaro. A woody callus forms over the wound, creating a cool cavity perfect for nesting. Abandoned cavities become homes for other birds. Shallow, widespread roots and the ability to store water help the magnificent saguaro thrive in the desert. During their lifespan of up to 200 years, saguaros can reach heights of 50 feet tall and begin forming arms at about 50 years of age. Remember when the 12 spies were sent out to scout out the promised land, Canaan? And the 10 spies came back with reports full of scariness about what's in there, in that land. But they were scared because they took God out of the equation. We are on the verge of the promised land, and things may look scary for us, with wars and earthquakes and natural disasters and pandemics. But we are not to give in to despair. We are to look to God. I find it really quite amusing and awesome. I've found that Americans are so friendly, and on the trail, on so many trails throughout Arizona, They always ask, how are you doing? It's like they don't even know me and they're asking how I'm doing. And I always reply with, I'm healthy. And they laugh. All right, now I'm on the birding trail. They name their trails very simply here. Ah, my first obstacle. I couldn't do it without getting one shoe wet. Now I have to walk in wet feet. Oh well, it better be a good trail. The Fremont cottonwood and velvet ash trees growing here tell you that water is present. Places with year-round water flow are called riparian areas. Riparian areas provide food and nesting sites for birds like the Cooper's hawk that prefer living high above the ground. The Fremont cottonwood and velvet ash provide these lofty perches. Shrubs such as seep willow baccharis provide food and hidden nesting sites for verdins and other birds. Ground-feeding birds like the towhees find suitable food among the grasses. The riparian habitat is a bird city. What is with the stream crossings today? Oh dear. They have a lot of nice benches placed strategically along the path. Much appreciated. Desert scrub habitat is found on sunny hillsides in areas away from water. Although it appears somewhat desolate, this environment is surprisingly diverse for its avian inhabitants. Adaptation to dry conditions is the key to survival. Woodpeckers drill nesting holes in the saguaros, small owls use the abandoned holes, and hawks build nests where the arm and trunk join. The domed nest of the cactus wren in the cholla cactus provides protection from sun and predators. Even in this harsh environment, insects and seeds for food are abundant. Birds like the black-throated sparrow use the moisture found in their food so efficiently that they can go long periods without drinking. Can you hear all the birds? It is an aptly named trail. These are such tiny, sweet flowers. Aw. Whoa, lots more of them. What? That is the most impressive saguaro I have seen. It's got arms upon arms. I can only imagine how old that one is. So cool. Here we go again. Both feet got wet this time. Honestly, I'm such a wimp. What a lovely little trail, this birding trail, and I'm so glad I got to see some birds and hear lots of birds. Just lovely, even if you do get wet. It's part of the fun, I guess. This area is called a Mesquite bosque, which is Spanish for forest. Periodic flooding of the waterway, in this case Sutherland Wash, forms the bosque. Floodwater delivers soil rich in nutrients and helps disperse seeds. Cottonwood and other fast-growing trees colonize the area. They eventually die, leaving the longer-lived mesquite trees to dominate. Bosques have a lush understory of shrubs, vines, and many small annual plants. Because of the variety of plant life, abundant food and nesting sites are available. This last little trail I'm going to take you on is the Romero Ruins Trail. At least this creek bed is dry. This trail is the entrance to almost 1,500 years of history. For nearly 800 years, the residents of an ancient Hohokam village regularly traveled this steep trail. Sometimes they strained to carry bountiful harvests of corn and beans from the floodplain to the village on the ridge above. Several times each day, water had to be carried in clay jars from the now dry arroyo. On other occasions, it was the hunger that followed poor harvests that made the climb difficult. In the middle of the 1800s, Mexican rancher Francisco Romero built a house on the ridge and lived there for a brief period. Romero and his cattle were often the targets of Apache raids. Archaeologists have explored only a small portion of the Hohokam village, now known as Romero Ruins. Survival in the desert was possible because the Hohokam had a detailed understanding of their environment. Water was the most critical resource. Two large drainages, Sutherland Wash and the Canada del Oro, come together on the low floodplain just opposite the Romero Ruins. Surface flow was available most of the year, and digging shallow wells in the wash bottoms yielded water during the driest times. Good springs are available nearby at the base of the Santa Catalina Mountains. The broad floodplain provided a variety of resources in addition to water. Bean pods from the mesquite tree were an important source of food, and mesquite wood was used for house building and cooking. Crops such as maize, beans, and squash were grown on the floodplain. Even the weeds that grew in the fields, such as amaranth and pigweed, provided nutritious greens and the high-protein seeds. Two people may be beside each other and one will say, "Look at all the horrible things that are happening in our world, the crime, the shootings, the wars, the plagues, the viruses." And he'll say, "Something needs to be done about this." And the next person standing by him will say, "Look at all these signs. Jesus is surely coming soon." Our perspective on life is vastly different on whether we have God in our lives or not. And I guess the whole moral of this journey is don't look at the giants, instead look to God. Catalina State Park, you get a gold star from me. And I will surely be back here if I'm ever in this part of the world to hike some of the longer hikes. This was a fabulous park. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next epic adventure. Assalamu alaikum, shalom, peace.
The king rides forth upon a colt, bound for his coronation. About him trophies of his reign wave palms in adoration. The glorious captives of his love move forth in happy throng, and Lazarus now rejoicing leads the kingly colt along. He'll reign triumphantly, he's come to set us free. They did not understand the path would lead to Calvary. He held salvation in his hand. Would he fulfill redemption's plan and go
With him the throng moves forth with shouts. They lift their sovereign high, and every eye beholds their King who rules the earth and sky. No greater picture has been scanned, no greater victory has ever been won. He reigns triumphant there on Calvary.
He reigned on Calvary. He reigned on Calvary. His crown of thorns, his throne a tree. The King has set me free. The Prince of Peace was crowned as King the day he gave up everything to reign on Calvary. He reigned on Calvary. He reigned on Calvary. His nail-pierced hands, a broken heart, and grace have set me free. He drank my cup, he bore my pain, the day he gave me everything, and died on Calvary. He reigns triumphantly, now clothed in majesty. I'll crown him as my King of Kings.